I've had people consistently reaching out to me over the last couple of weeks talking about the stock market being impacted by the incoming Trump administration and tariffs that he's talking about and all these things alike. And to be clear, I don't know the future. And just having an idea of what has happened in the past doesn't necessarily give you a guarantee as to what happens in the future. But one of the things that I would say when it comes to the stock market is you want to keep in mind perspective and time horizon. Time horizon is the length of period before you need the funds that are in question. So for sure, if I have funds that are in the market and I need them in 2 years or in 6 months, I might be very concerned to the point that I decide to keep my money out of the market due to fear of market volatility. But when you're talking about things like retirement assets and the like, if you're not planning to use those funds for 20, 25 years, then taking it out of the market or putting them in cash or putting them in bonds for the next 4 years is something that to me is lacking in perspective. If anything, having periods of market volatility, if there is market volatility, could be an opportunity for you to consistently contribute money to the market while prices are low. And there are periods, as we've shown in prior episodes, where having consistent contributions to the market during periods where there have been some losses put you in a position where you can actually out earn the gains that you would have received with moderate but consistent returns. So I would argue that every long-term investor wants a couple of periods of major volatility in their investment lifespan, as long as during those periods they are making consistent contributions to their accounts. But also, I would want you to have a historical perspective on what has happened in the market during some of the darkest times in our country's history. So I went back and I looked at some of the periods to have an idea for returns during some of these dark times. So from 1940 to 1945, which was the thick of World War II, if you look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, during that period, it actually had a positive return and averaged just over 5%. If you go forward several years to the first 4 years of the Vietnam War, the S&P 500 at that time averaged almost 9%. And if you go back to 2020, where we had COVID, since then we've had the Ukrainian invasion, we've had trouble in the Middle East, the S&P 500 since 2020 has averaged over 14%. So this is one of those areas where I would just say, if you keep that perspective in mind and control the things that you can control, which is the amount of money that you contribute to the market, having that long-term perspective will hopefully allay some of the fears as to what's going on in the market if we do actually see some volatility, but also potentially position you for gains down the line that you would not receive if you try to time the market and figure out when the best time was to exit and re-enter, because that's not something that the typical lay investor knows how to do.